LNTEOW, labor and the expression of worth. Together, we are discovering our common work, common stories, and common love. As I write, I am sitting in a small octagonal shelter overlooking the Pacific Ocean. There are 8 windows on 4 of the walls, all looking out over the seemingly endless expanse of the ocean. There must be some fish biting out there today because there are about 30 boats, all within 2 miles from the shore, I estimate. Not that I have any experience which qualifies me to estimate distances at sea. A Google search the other day informed me that if I am standing on sea level, the horizon is approximately 3 miles away. That seems reasonable to me, but when I mentioned that to another person recently, that distance did not seem reasonable to him at all. He felt quite certain that the horizon must be hundreds of miles away. I'm not the kind of person to argue for the sake of argument, especially if I have not done all the math myself and or constructed my own models to prove the point. So I stayed quiet, and I asked him questions. Although he had no equations or models to offer me in his explanations, he seemed to have great confidence in his proclamations. Some people are like that, very confident. I have a gift for getting along with people. I can be quite malleable, in fact. I like to ask questions, and I genuinely enjoy learning from other people. There is something I can learn from anyone. Even when someone doesn't really know what they think they know, I learn. Everyone is my teacher. I can even get along with someone who believes the earth to be flat. It seems reasonable to me that the earth is round, and I have taken enough physics classes to know that a flat earth would mean that all of Newtonian physics is a conspiracy which has been perpetuated for almost 400 years, and that would be a much more massive deal than any flat earther who I've met wants to consider. And I'm okay with that because I do not lead my life in preparation for proving anyone wrong about anything. That's just not how I approach life. Proving people wrong is not the attitude with which I approach people. That's not how I roll. It's all about love for me. I am a teacher and I love my students, and I have yet to ever be able to communicate the deepest message to someone by proving them wrong about anything. If I am gaining knowledge and skill so that I can put people in their place, then all the knowledge that I gather is floating in a toxic solution. It can be very difficult to learn from an arrogant teacher with a superiority complex, I admit. One of those teachers who needs to put themselves above me. If I practice music with a metronome so that I can be the legalistic timekeeper of the band, that is exactly who I get to be, a legalistic timekeeper. If I read the Holy Scriptures so that I can be the smartest guy in Sunday school class, that is exactly who I get to be, the smartest guy in Sunday school class. If I study science so I can talk shit about all the stupid religious folks and their ridiculous stories, then I literally kill the storyteller in myself. And I have discovered that I cannot live that way. I have discovered, in fact, that poetry and stories and myths are every bit a part of my biological makeup as my endocrine system. I am an imagination creature, a symbolic language biped, a lover of abstract language. How I relate to myths and archetypes is equally as important as my ability to predict the cause and effect relationship of a force on a body in motion, equally as important as all the if-then relationships in this law-driven binary universe. I believe that my imagination is, in many instances, profoundly more capable of teaching me about the true nature of reality than my rational or my logical mind. My people have been telling stories for a much greater length of time than we have possessed the mental faculties to imagine ourselves as rational beings. In fact, I can learn far more about the truth from fiction than I can from facts. This is why humans spend so much time reading and telling stories, watching movies, and imagining alternate universes. We are story creatures. Many of us now have this shared sense, this intuition that we are being lied to. It is incredibly important that we are able to identify the lies which are closest to the center. What are the most fundamental lies? We were born into families that were lying to us, not necessarily because they wanted to injure us, but because our entire family was born into a culture of layered lies. Many of us were lied to about what love is. We were told, for instance, that shame and fear were love. Ouch. We were taught by our religious leaders that we are separate from God and that we are separate from one another. For generations now, this has been happening. These are fundamental lies, often propagated by people that we were told we could trust. Waking up to the truth is not easy. Waking up is not comfortable. Help, however, is available. Help is always available for those who are truly seeking help. True help arises from within. Although truth always arises from within, sometimes help appears to come from outside sources. True helpers will not place themselves over you. Truth is freely shared. Truth is not packaged, monetized, or centralized. Truth cannot be elected. Truth is kind. Truth is generous and compassionate. The truth will empower and elevate you. Truth is not threatening, except when it's threatening the lies. We could talk more about that later. Truth is not fearful, although it may cause the fearful parts of you to feel scared. You see, oftentimes we have to step away from the facts as they were presented to us in order to get to the truth. Sometimes people speak as if they know when they do not. There is an absolute truth, but you are the only one who can discern it for yourself. That is why it is both so beautiful and terrible to be a human being. Don't worry. You are a spirit having an experience in a body. Never give up. Always surrender.